Okay, today we will discuss about operational plannings that link between the operation in supply and logistics. So you can see my profile, and if you have any question, you can scan QR code and send your question to my social media that you can see in here, and that's why we can discuss together. And here that overview for the cost planning, and also now we are discuss about operational planning, and next should be performance measurement is the last section for us, and we have a 2 weeks for presentation 1 and 2. In this topic you understand about how your operation planning that link to the sourcing, production, manufacturing, warehousing, transportation, and the other thing that you have to know about uh, operation plannings. Operation planning, there are planning method that we have 3 phases of this. The first of all, that problem definition and planning. Second one, data collection and analysis. And the third one, recommendations and implementation. So the supply chain operation analysis method and technique that link to the other things that you have to know. The planning method that start with how many warehouse should our logistics system use and where should they be located. So you have to think about a supplier, vendor, your manufacturer, and also your distribution channel, and the last customer that we call end customer. So you have to think about how many warehouse should you set up. And the second one, what are the inventory or service? You have to test off for each warehouse that you have to keep a raw material, keep for work in process or part or semi part, and the last keep for finished good that you have to decide what the inventory that you want to keep. And the third one, what type of transportation capability should be used that you want to design the truck and link to warehouse and the pick up or the trailer or the another thing that you want to design the transportation mode that link to warehouse. And the last is a redesign for our warehouse network justified and that the optimize your system or not. So the first phase that you have to know about feasibility assessment and think about project planning, and the second phase that you get the data collection and analysis that you have to know assumption and data collection, and you have a data and then you can analyze. And the last that phase recommendation and implementation, you know the model and then you get the requirement more and development for recommendation, and the last you select that the option that fit for your organization and then you implementation. So you have to know about feasibility assessment that we have 3 parts. The first part that marketing. When you start the business, you have to know about what the product that your customer want and how many the customer want to buy and the kind and the type of the product that your customer want to buy. And then you know the product and the type of the product, and then you think about how you create or you produce or you transform your raw material to be your finished good. And the last, you think about how you set up the sheet, the Excel or Google sheet that link between revenue and expense, and then how much that the profit that you get, and then you have the profit to uh, pay for initial cost or investment cost that link to financial model and ratio, that's payback period and IRR, and also the other ratio that link to the investment. And then you link to situation analysis to customer service, the material management that link to the supply chain and transportation mode that you want to design, and the warehousing, and the last inventory. So you can see that support all of things in logistics and supply chain, and the supply chain member that link to the other things. And the support and supporting logics that you link and you design the system. So you are the architecture for design the supply chain and all logistic. And the last, you design the cost and benefit and estimate that to present to your supervisor or your executive, and they have to make a decision for your plan. The first phase, that problem and definition and planning, that you try to project planning to set up the system and state of objective and also statement of constraint, that you have to know about objective and constraint of the system or the project that you want to design, and the measure, standard and assumption and assumptive logics and project work planning. So you start that provide the 100 most profitable customer with perfect order performance, or for all other customer provide the following performance, that inventory what you want to design the A category A, that's 99% for customer service, and B 95% for product B, and C the 90% for category C, and delivery percentage at 98% for all order within the 20x hours of placement, and minimize customer shipment for secondary warehouse, and fill mixed product order without back order on a minimum of 85% of all order, and hold back order for a maximum of 5 days. So you can see that the list of the KPI or measurement for your system and the objective and constraint that you want to design your system. And after that, you use the second phase to get the data. You start with the problem and design definition and planning. And after that, you get the data and collection analysis. That you assumption and data collection, defining analysis approach and technique. And second one, you define and reviewing assumption, the business assumption that you want to decide what is the product that you want to sell and how many customer that you have and the volume for each customer, and the size or the profit and the revenue that you can get. And then you design management assumption, and the last you analysis assumption. So in business assumption, you have the scope, you have the alternative, you have to know market trend, the market preference and buying pattern for your products, and the products trend that now is going up, introduction or going up, or maturity or luggage, that you have to know, and competitive action, that when you set up the new product or the new system or the new supply chain, that you have to compare to the others, other the company and competitor advantage, that you have to link to the weakness or strength or the strategy that they use, and management assumption, that you have to know the marketing and distribution facilities and transportation system, and also inventory level that you want to design, and the last analyzing assumption for product group or marketing area. And that you can see in here that in this phase, the second phase, data collection and analysis, that you have to know about assumption and data collection. So you have to identify data source. You get the data that you can get from the source that you design, and how you get the data and how you check the data and validation data. So in here you can see the distribution center. We have a distribution center in 5 info area for New York, Atlanta, Chicago, and Los Angeles. And then we know the shipment volume and inbound transportation and outbound transportation and inventory carrying cost and the total cost. You can see in the table. And here you can analysis question, that you have to know how many shipment volume for each. The biggest is Newark, and inbound transportation is the Newark also, and outbound transportation is the Chicago is the most, and inventory carrying cost highest in the New York, and also the next one is Chicago, and also total cost is the New York is the main distribution center, and next one should be Chicago, and the third one should be Atlanta. You can see in the number. And then you have to check and analyzing and you check all of the data, and here you can see the question and do set up the question for validation, the baseline analysis. And also you have to set up the alternative for the idea that you have to design the distribution center and also the other thing in the warehouse or distribution center, and then you decide the sensitivity analysis in here. And the next should be the third phase is recommendation and implementation. You can see in the picture that the start with feasibility, project planning and assumption and data collection and analysis. And now we're going to for the third phase, that development of recommendation and implementation. So in recommendation, you have to know the four things of this: estimation, cost, and benefit. That you have to know the benefit and the cost for this, and identify the best alternative for your organization and also your supply chain. And third one, you try to developing a risk assessment, and the last, developing a presentation for your executive or the board of director that you have to present to C-level, that to CMO, CEO, COO, and also CFO, that you decide the supply chain for them. And how you implementation, so you start with definition and implementation plan, and set the schedule for implementation or timeline or the project planning. And the third one, defining acceptance criteria and the KPI, and the last is implementing the plan, and that here is implementation. So that review the operation planning, that we have a three phase for planning methodology. The first phase is problem definition and planning, and the next phase is data collection and analysis, and the third phase is recommendation and implementation. Okay, in the first phase, that consists to feasibility assessment and project planning, and the second phase, that's assumption and data collection and analysis, and the third phase, development of recommendation and implementation. So you can see the feasibility assessment start with marketing and engineering and the financial, and then when you start project planning to design the system, and then you get the data from your work, from your project idea for your supplier, your vendor, your manufacturer, warehouse, and you have to select transportation and how you distribute your product and the distribution channel, and the last, where is your customer located, and then you analyze the data and financial model, and then you present to your executive in develop and recommendation, and then you get the feedback from them and decide the last choice or the last alternative for implementation. That's here for operational plannings. In this topic, supply chain operation analysis method and techniques, so you can see the list of the question for design for decision making, and that the question for design your supply chain. That the first, where should the manufacturing plants be located, that you link to the raw material located, and where is your customer. So in the manufacturer, is the center or that near the supply or vendor, or that near for the customer location. So that is the question, the first question for your design supply chain. And next one, how many warehouse should the firm use and where should they be located. And the third one, the what customers or market area should be served for each warehouse. In warehouse, you have to serve for customer and the branch or the retailer or wholesale, that you have to design in here. And the next question, which product line that should be produced or stock and each plant or warehouse. You decide for keep the stock in the warehousing in manufacturer, or you keep the stock in warehouse that outside of a manufacturer, that you have to decide. And what is the role of master or regional distribution center relative to field or local warehouse, you have to know that you use the local warehouse, or you have set the center for regional, or you have the set the DC that is not the same for warehouse and DC is you have to set and design the system. And what the sourcing and marketing channel should be used to source material and serve international marketing. That you, if you want to export your product, you have to set the warehouse for exports also, or you want to sourcing from your country in the domestic supplier, or you have to export from the up country supplier to your factory. You have to decide also. And what combination of public and private warehouse that you have to use warehouse for facilities should be used, and what service providers and value add service should be used meet market requirement. So here is the basic for question for make a decision for you design supply chain. And the design logic that you have to know the manufacturer, warehouse, and your marketing channel. So you can see in here that the expense component for sourcing, for production, for handling, for inbound, for warehouse handling and outbound, and here that the link to the total or expense component of or the expense that you have to pay. So the major supply chain design constraint that include market region demand, planned production capacity, warehouse storage capacity, and also product stock strategy. So you can see start with vendor and your manufacturer and warehouse, and also you send the product to the branch or wholesale or retail for the customer or dealer that you have to decide, and then you use the total cost analysis approach also. In here you decide the system in area, in the zone, or that the data that you have to require, and then you evaluation of alternative that you want to set the center in the warehouse in the center, or you have to set the warehouse in the regional or the zoning that you link together. So the supply chain is linked between supplier and then sent to manufacturer and sent to warehouse, and also you select for send to industrial distribution, or you send to wholesale, or you send to retailer, or sometimes you have the part for online for sale in e-commerce, and that link to the channel that your customer know, and the set for the pricing and the cost for each channel is very important. And inventory decision that you have to know this question. We have the 5 questions to help you. The first of all, how many product that should be produced, or you have to buy product from your supplier, or you have to produce your finished good by yourself. That the next production cycle, or now your product is the life cycle in here, the introduction in the majority, or in the introduction the majority, or the largest, or the decline. So you have to know this. And which warehouse should maintain inventory for each item, and the level of inventory level that you have to set in warehousing, the 90%, 80%, or 95% that you have to set the inventory level also. That link to reorder point and safety stock that you study about inventory management before. And the third one, should slow moving item be centralizing, or the fast item that you have to set it near to customer location, that you have to link you to your warehouse and inventory strategy and inventory policy also. And the next question is the optimum size of replenishment order, that the order quantity decision that link to EOQ or EPQ, and that you know about this economic order quantity or economic order production. And with what is the necessary reorder point for replenishment order, that link to stock decision also, that link to the other thing that you have to know about this. And analytics inventory techniques that you have to know about analytics inventory formulation. We start with logistic system characteristic, that you have to know fast and slow moving SKU, how many SKU that you have, and then what the part is the fastest, what the part is slow move, that you use the policy for fast and slow is not the same, it's different. And the number of echelon, that means how many the warehouse that you have to design, we call the number of echelon. and the service objective, that the fill rate, that you have to set KPI for the fill rate, for the read time, and also for the quality, that you have to design your supply chain. And performance cycle characteristic for average demand, how many demand that you can receive and how many that you can send your supply to the demand, that you have to fit and discuss about it and change the supply to fit to demand also. And that you have to set the standard for deviation and the demand characteristic, that you know about this, how you forecasting for moving average, for exponential smoothing, and for seasonal index, something that average demand and you can forecast, and the standard deviation also, and standard deviation also, that you have to know about this. And that for part of this link to analytics inventory formulation, and then you design inventory parameter or design inventory policy for safety stock or SS, and also for reorder point, that ROP, and the last for order quantity, that link to EOQ and EPQ also. And then when you know this, you have to design inventory parameter for demand characteristics and performance cycle characteristic, and also logistics system characteristic, that link together to inventory simulation and service level. That you can see in here, that how you set the inventory technique, that link to the other thing, in link to between supply chain, who is your supply chain member, who is your supplier, who is your vendor, where is your warehouse, and where is your factory, and how you pick the item and send to your distribution center and distribution channel, and also wholesale retailer and end customer also. That link it together, that we try to design supply chain. And then you link to transportation decision also. You link to how should deliveries be grouped or to form routing, or you select the mode for transportation. What is the best delivery sequence for service customer, and which route should be assigned to which customer, and which vehicle type that fit for your customer. And what is the best type of vehicle for serving different customer type? How many vehicle that you have, and the type that you want to check the set for the yard management, and the truck, the car, the motorcycle that you have to set up. And what delivery sequence should be used to accommodate time and restriction imposed by customer in here. You have to know this. And then you have to design the method and technique for transportation analysis technique. You have a manufacturer, you have the warehouse, and then you design the routing for your truck, the stop point 1, 2, 3 that you design, we call multi-drop. You start with the stop 1, and then stop 2, and then stop 3 and 4 and stop 5, that you have to decide the routing. Or you have the track for the loop 1 and the loop B, that you have to see in here, the loop A and the loop B. So you have to set up the transportation, and also generalizability, that is the ability to efficiently incorporate extensions for special situations such as pick up and deliveries the product, and multiple depot time windows, vehicle capacity, and legal driving time, and actual setting, that you have to know about this, and the route and loop for your desired transportation, and the time that fit for your transportation type also. And the next one, we have to know about 5-lane analysis from you know the origin and destination, and then you set the routing for Detroit to Chicago, and then you know the weight and the shipment, how many shipment that you decide. And you can see Detroit to Cincinnati and also Chicago, that link the loop together. In the left hand side is like a counterclocks in here, Detroit to Chicago and also Cincinnati, and then you know the weighted and how many shipment that you decide. And then you have to compare everything in the part from product SKU, that you know inventory analysis, and then the unit that demand in the east area, and standard cost, and also sale and standard cost, and forecasting sale, and cumulative sale percentage, and total inventory that fit for supplier and demand, but balance it together, and then inventory at standard cost in here you can see, and percent inventory here, and then you have to check what is the main product that you can sell. That in here is the part A, that percentage for inventory is like 17%, and commodity percent in here you see in the 80% that the A group for here at part A to part Q, that is the A group for in ABC inventory management, and the class in here you can see in the class, and here that link to ABC analysis and the volume and value and variety that you have to check about ABC. That all of things that you know to design the system. And the last, you can check the challenge question. You select one question and then you decide for your check-in. You can scan QR code and then you answer the question. Is here the card for today, and enjoy your class. And if you have any question, you can ask me in the line or in supply social media or any kind of that, or you can ask in YouTube also. And that here that the question for this. And don't forget to read the books that we have the book Supply Chain Logistic Management that I give you the first class to link to ebook, and then you can print it out to read it, and detail for each chapter that help you to understand more about supply chain and logistic management in here. And also teaching material that you can download all of that I send you in a PDF file. And also you can see material that I give you in YouTube also. See you next week. Bye. Enjoy your class today.